2024 has been a very busy year for reunions, everything from Oasis to Crossfade, 3 Days Grace, of course, reuniting with Adam Gontier, but nothing bigger, obviously, than Linkin Park. But now it looks like one more band may be reuniting, or at least they are teasing a reunion of some sort before the year's end. None other than MySpace-era legends I Wrestled a Bear Once, the band's bass player, Mike Rickshaw Martin. He has a podcast called Nerding Out With Rickshaw, where in a recent episode of the show, he said that he has been talking with the band's original vocalist, Krysta Cameron, about potentially reuniting. Krysta, of course, was on the band's first two albums, their debut, It's All Happening, in 2009, and then ruining it for everybody in 2011. And in 2012, it was announced that Krysta would be leaving the band as she was pregnant, and then she did not return. She wanted to spend time with family, and understandably so. She, of course, was ultimately replaced by Courtney LaPlante, who at that time came from the band Unicron, and then eventually her and her then fiance, now husband, Mike Stringer. He ended up joining I Wrestled a Bear Once about a year or so after Courtney did. And then now, of course, they eventually went on to form Spiritbox, who these last few years have just been absolutely dominating. But anyways, if I Wrestled a Bear Once were to reunite, it would in fact be with original vocalist Krysta Cameron. As her and Mike Martin have been discussing the possibility, here's what Mike said in part on his podcast, and I will put a link to the episode clip down below if you want to check out a little bit more.
I've always thought right now with the lineup, the old school lineup with Krysta, I always thought that like Krysta and Steven are really the ones that needed to like hammer it out if it was ever going to happen. But the other day, I'm not going to be 100% and give you all of the stuff right now, but I will definitely tell you some of the details right now. I was talking to Krysta on the phone, and she's just like, a lot of people always hit me up in my DMs, and they're talking about when's an IWABO reunion, when's I Wrestle a Bear Once coming back, and I'm like, yeah, obviously, Krysta. Like, I do a show where we talk about music a lot, and there's people in there all the time. When's IWABO coming back? There's comments. Everybody hits me up. I'm like, hey, check out my new band. And people are like, okay, when's IWABO coming back? You know what I mean? Like, so, that's what I have to deal with. I'm telling this to Krysta, and she's like, well, Rickshaw, would you do it? Would you ever do it if we were asked to do a reunion? And I was like, Krysta, I'm the only one playing shows for 40 people. You know what I mean? Like, I'm out here doing, vocals in a new heavy band. I said, yes, Krysta, obviously I would play with IWABO again. I would, let's do it. I was like, what about you, Krysta? What do you think about this? She said, I would f***ing love to do an IWABO reunion. So that's where we're at. There's more information, but we're like at this point in time, we're just slowly getting the band back together, seeing what's going on, being friends again. And then in the future, we are going to start talking about what it would be worth to do it. Right. So I'm going to need all the people that loved I Wrestled a Bear Once to start rallying behind that too. You need to be talking about it. We need to be posting about it. And so the more buzz we get going, the easier it'll be for us to decide to leave the children at home for a month or whatever. It'll be easier if the buzz is happening and we don't have to go out there and make it hard on ourselves to get something going. You know what I'm saying? We want to lube it up.
I think the most obvious situation is that they appear on Warped Tour. Obviously not a full tour, it's just a few shows. 4 Warped Tours return in 2025, which the lineup will be announcing in January. So, of course, I think something like that makes the most sense. But at the same time, though, he kind of makes it sound like it's in the very early stages, the whole reunion. So it could be a little too soon, but who knows? It could also be a lot further along than he made it out to be. Or if it's really as early as it sounds, all of the news that's been coming out today surrounding the potential I Wrestled a Bear Once reunion could kickstart some festivals and tours and things like that to start reaching out to the band with potential offers as we get into the new year. So, but I don't know. I mean, the whole industry is really on shutdown essentially at this point until we get into the new year. But I don't know. We'll see what happens, but that's all I got for you for right now. Thanks so much for hanging out. Feel free to drop a like and subscribe below if you feel like it, and I'll see you next time.